Hi and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that takes a look at players that have been linked with a summer transfer move to Arsenal. First of all, let's start off with the Emirates Cup yesterday. Fantastic display by Arsenal, beating Lyon 6-0. Now, I know what everyone's out there going to say. Calm down. Don't panic. Don't get carried away, which, you know what? They're all spot on. We shouldn't get carried away. It is a friendly against another team. Manchester United yesterday beat Barcelona. Doesn't mean they're better than Barcelona. Doesn't mean they're going to romp away with everything. It is a friendly, but I'm very, very encouraged and very, very excited by what I saw yesterday. It was a magnificent performance by Arsenal. Mesut Ozil yesterday was absolutely unbelievable, and that is now a few games in a row, kicking on from the end of last season. He was brilliant last week in Singapore and brilliant again yesterday. Absolutely controlled everything. Fantastic performance by him. And we can only be encouraged at the moment because it looks like finally he's fully fit. It looks like he knows exactly what his role is. He's playing in the right position, and he's just controlling things for Arsenal right now. And I just thought yesterday he was absolutely brilliant for Arsenal, and every Arsenal fan can only be infused by seeing like our marquee, our main man player really, really coming to the fore at the moment. As I was really infused by the performances as well by Giroud. I thought he played well, took his goal very well. Did sort of come off his shoulder a bit, but again, physical presence. And that sort of marksman up front, very, very good. And OxladeChamberlain, I thought yesterday, was absolutely unplayable. I mean, I just love watching this guy play. He's one of my favourite Arsenal players to watch play because he just gets the ball and runs at players, takes them on, scored a great goal yesterday. And OxladeChamberlain, if Raheem Sterling, who I do rate, listen, don't get me wrong, Raheem Sterling, I think, is an incredible player. But if Sterling is worth 49 million, then OxladeChamberlain for me is on the same level. He's just as good, if not better, and should be, worth the same sort of money as well. He's an absolutely brilliant player. We get linked with all these guys like Draxler, etc. I remember having this argument with Mo one time, and I was saying to him, you tell me why Draxler is supposed to be better than OxladeChamberlain. I mean, he's just an excellent, excellent player who's only going to get better. If we get a season out of this guy without injuries, which is something that we haven't been able to get, he can prove to be one of the best players in the Premier League. I really rate him that highly. And a couple of youngsters who were on show yesterday, Alex Iwobi, who took his goal brilliantly yesterday. Great finish by Iwobi. He's actually remember the player, Nigerian player JJ Okocha. He was a brilliant player. He was Okocha. I remember he used to be so skillful. He'd be like what you'd call the African Messi, I'd say he was. But he was brilliant. Well, Iwobi is actually his nephew, and Iwobi, looked a very, very accomplished player yesterday. Out there on the wing, and as I said, took his goal very, very well. Very good to see young players Arsenal doing so well. Excuse me. And same as well I could say for the new boy that came on at the end, Jeff Rainey Adelaide. I hope I pronounced that right. I was very, very impressed by him. He looked very quick. Brilliant bit of skill he did to play through Chuga Akpom, who again played very well. And of course, Santi Cazorla, brilliant free kick. Everybody thought he was going to hit it high over the wall, bend it into the corner, he just placed it underneath. It's just a fantastic performance by Arsenal. As many people said, you don't want to get carried away because it is only a friendly, but you can't help but get very excited when you see the team put in a performance like that against a team that, listen, this is a top-level team. Teams can get smashed in pre-season. We saw last week even Chelsea getting beaten 4-1 by a New York team. So you can get, suffer those defeats pre-season. You can't look too much into them. But for a top-level team like Lyon to get smashed 6-0, You know, Arsenal were really, really, really on fire yesterday, and it's just encouraging. You know, I mean, we don't get carried away, but it's very, very encouraging. It wasn't a good performance for Alexander Lacazette, who is a player that a lot of Arsenal players, a lot of Arsenal fans, sorry, have been calling to be signed up for Arsenal. To be fair, he didn't get great service yesterday, but he did have a couple of chances which he didn't take, and you know, didn't really do nothing really to overly impress anybody who's sitting there watching, or any Arsenal fan anyway that was sitting there watching. And it was really amused me afterwards, you know, interviewing some fans. There's one fan in particular who called him a fraud. I think that was a bit harsh. Listen, you can't judge him off of one game. He's had an excellent goal scoring record. And, you know, there was also fans saying, yeah, but you know what? He scored those in the French league, which, listen, League One is not of the same level as playing in the Premier League or as playing in La Liga, etc. Although a fan did point out to me yesterday that Paris Saint-Germain, which, come on, I don't think you can compare them to the average League One team, but Paris Saint-Germain did beat Chelsea and Monaco did beat us last year. So who are we to diss League One? But certainly didn't do himself any favours yesterday. Lacazette didn't really show anything for us to get excited about, to say, yes, Wenger, go out and sign him up. And the clamour then has then gone back once again to Karim Benzema. We're reading today that Arsenal are willing to raise their offer for Karim Benzema to £35.3 million. We were told that Arsenal have already tabled an initial bid of 31 million, which has been rejected by Real Madrid. But Arsenal are ready to raise it to £35.3 million. This is what some of the media are reporting today. How accurate this is, again, I really don't know. Saying it all along, said it to quite a few fans that I met yesterday. This is a deal that depends upon a lot of things happening. My understanding of it, what I've heard about it, is that Real Madrid would be willing to sell only if they find that big marquee signing that they get every single year. That's the only way they're going to sell him. Otherwise, they're going to keep hold of him. And I've also heard that the player said, you know what, if I leave Real Madrid, the only place I'd go to would be Arsenal, to play under Arsene Wenger and to be reunited with Ozil, etc. And the way Ozil's playing at the moment, who wouldn't want to be? So again, bids being up and stuff like that, I don't think it's going to be all down to money. There's a lot of circumstances that have to fall into place to make that deal for Karim Benzema happen. One striker who's definitely signing up at last is Theo Walcott. Now, I reported this about a month ago, or about 3-4 weeks. Yeah, about 3 weeks ago, that I'd been told at the time that, you know, it had been agreed, everything had been agreed, and that Walcott was definitely going to sign. Subsequently, since then, he hasn't signed yet. But we're being told that he's going to finally sign the deal. It's £100,000 a week, making one of the highest paid players at Arsenal. That's sort of the going rate nowadays. And as I said, exciting times for Theo. Keep him fit again. It's all down to fitness with these guys. Keep him fit again. Get a good season out of this guy. And we could really see a lot of goals coming from him, because Theo Walcott is a goal scorer. He is a goal scorer. Whether he's the answer to our strikers, I don't know. I still think we need somebody else, because I just look at it and I think that there are options, but if Giroud is out, those options start to get limited. But I do worry and start and look at it and think to myself, well, is it a worry? Because we don't want to be bringing in players that are not to the standard we want just for the sake of saying we've made a signing. But I do think to myself, if we're unable to get Benzema, who else is it going to be? I suppose you could go Aubameyang at Dortmund. There's still the Lacazette option. I suppose we could go aggressive. But the options for striker are really, really seeming to being diminished if Benzema doesn't come in. William Carvalho back on the radar again today. We're being told again that Arsenal have still been showing an interest. I don't think Arsenal are no longer interested in Carvalho, especially with him being injured. Sorry, and now we're being told that Paris Saint-Germain are willing to table a £25 million bid plus add-ons to sign Carvalho. I'll be very surprised even at that. I mean, they seem to have very good defensive midfielders. Paris Saint-Germain in Matuidi. You know, I'll be surprised at that, but you know, then having said that, they've got lots of money to spend, and you know, you wouldn't be surprised with anything. I personally don't like, and this is why I wouldn't want Arsenal to make this signing right now. I don't like signing players that are injured. You know, that's, to me, if a player's injured and out with like a long-term injury, I really don't think you should be signing a player like that. You need to let him come back, get fit, before you take another look at him. But he's been linked with a move to Paris Saint-Germain today, so that deal looking even less likelier. Sergej Samper, though, is an interesting one. We've been told that his father has personally got in contact with Arsenal and said, listen, come and sign this guy. 20-year-old defensive midfielder. Would seem like a decent fit for Arsenal as backup. But his father's saying, listen, come and get him. He's available. He wants to come to Arsenal. Of course, he plays for Barcelona. He's wanting to now play football for a first team. Arsenal have tried to sign him 3 times before. He's turned it down, but I think he's seen Hector Bellerin flourish at Arsenal, and he would like to come across. Whether that one will happen again, I'm not sure about that again. I mean, it's been heavily linked all over the place, but I just get the feeling that Wenger's going to stick with that. Francis Coquelin and Arteta. Coquelin again yesterday, brilliant, and deserves to be *1, most definitely. It's whether Arteta is a good enough backup or not. Of course, if you bought in Samper again, he's going to have to work his way into the team. Would not be an automatic start or even a automatic backup, and it wouldn't be experienced. Be a very young kid coming in to play a position that sometimes you need to have a bit of experience in. So I'm not sure if Arsenal are going to move for him. I mean, the rumours were that Wenger had turned down the original approach from Samper's team to be able to sign him, but I very much doubt that one, but let's see what happens with that. And we're linked with another midfielder, another Spanish midfielder. We seem to love these Spanish midfielders. And that's Dani Ceballos. He's 18 years of age, plays for Real Betis. Attacking midfielder, skillful. We know the drill now, by now. His contract is set to expire in the summer. Arsenal been looking at him. But again, I very much doubt, you know, even just looking at yesterday, so many young attacking midfield talent on the pitch there yesterday, and you know, that's not even including guys like Dan Crowley, who's a real hot prospect for Arsenal. So again, I don't know, unless we're getting some of these guys who we then loan back out, etc. But for Bayern to come into the first team at the moment, really can't see it. But we are linked with him today. As I said, we seem to get linked with every attacking and skillful midfielder going. And one little good news story right at the end here of all the links is the one about David Ospina. Looks like Ospina will be staying. You know what? Right at the start of this whole goalkeeper merry-go-round, I was sort of saying that I'd like to see Ospina stay as a #2 and possibly loan out Szczesny. And that looks like exactly what's going to happen. Looks like Szczesny's on his way to Roma. That should happen this week. And Ospina has been, you know, having talks with Arsene Wenger, and Wenger has said to him, "Listen, I'm very happy with you, but you're, you know, obviously we've got Czech now. You're going to be #2. Are you happy with that?" Apparently, Ospina said yes. I'm happy with that. Wenger said you'll get a lot of opportunities to play. You'll FA Cup, League Cup. You know, you'll get some Champions League games possibly. You know, plus as well, you'll be the backup. And Ospina seems happy to stay. And I think Petr Cech and David Ospina, that is a very strong goalkeeper lineup for Arsenal. And I'll tell you what, I was very impressed by Emilio Martinez yesterday. How good was he in goal yesterday? Looked very sharp, very big, very imposing. As a matter of fact, even last season when he came in, I was very, very impressed by him. Still only young, 22. He's definitely got a good future ahead of him at Arsenal. And I've been told that Arsene Wenger really, really likes him as well. Probably might go out on loan again this season, which is a good thing, get some experience. But we've gone from having hardly any keepers and being very weak in that position to all of a sudden being very strong in the goalkeeping position, which is great news because you need a good keeper to put in a title challenge. Let's just get into some of the comments from you guys. Shahid Ahmed says, people need to understand that we aren't spending £100 million because we already have an amazing squad. Teams like Manchester United, Liverpool and Spurs are spending £100 million because they've got a lot of gaps in their team. The only gap that we have is a striker and maybe a defensive midfielder. That's why we don't need to throw money at players that we don't need. And, you know, I think he makes some great points there. OG12 says, Giroud to win the Golden Boot, trust me. He's fired up. This guy's being serious there. He said he's fires up because of the Euro 16s in France. And he said Walcott, Welbeck and Akpom are decent backup. We don't really need to buy anybody. Again, I don't think I agree. I think that Giroud, you know, and I was arguing with my good mate Poet's Corner, who's not a fan of Giroud. If you've ever heard him talk, he does not like Giroud. I was arguing with him yesterday, saying to him that, listen, I just think that Giroud gets a lot of bad press. He's not Thierry Henry. He's not Dennis Bergkamp, right? Strikers that we've been used to over the years. But he's a very good striker, very effective, and a very effective team player. But we do need somebody else. There's nothing wrong with him, but we do need somebody else, another option to Giroud. We can't just be relying on him. We've relied on him over the past 2 seasons and we've come up short. So, you know, we need somebody else in there. And even Giroud himself has said, listen, I don't mind the competition. I don't mind somebody coming in, which is a great look. Let's get somebody else in, you know, different style along, and then we'll have a magnificent attacking force. Tejas says, everyone talking about reinforcements in the striking position, to which I agree and should be it should be given first priority. But what about central defence? Because I think we need a real strong, experienced leader. I really don't see Koscielny and Mertesacker doing it alone for Arsenal if we're to challenge for the title in the Champions League. Don't forget we've got Gabriel in there as backup, Callum Chambers. Then there are people who can cover across there. We don't really want to see that, but Debuchy can, and so can Nacho Monreal. So unless there's a really superb, you know, defender out there to bring in, I'm not sure if we really need to strengthen that area. Is there that player out there to strengthen that area any better than what we've got, unless it's a Max Hummels or somebody like that? And those guys are just not available at the moment. Darren Brown 100 says, Ramsey to Barcelona, give it a rest. He wouldn't even get in their under 15 team. This is just media making up stories. Listen, I'm sorry, mate. Aaron Ramsey, again, you saw him yesterday. He's box to box. He scores goals. He's the nearest. He's going to be like what I'd say, like very similar to a Frank Lampard. He is a very underrated player. He's a very good player. Again, if he stays injury free, he will get a lot of goals this season. And you know what? Midfielders that score lots of goals are invaluable. And Ramsey is right up there when it comes to that type of midfielder. So I'm sorry, I'm not agreeing with you on that one. He is a top player and he would go for a lot of money. Maybe not 50 million, but he, you know, if you look at what some of the players have been going for, like a Sterling recently, why not? Should he not be, you know, worth a lot of money and have a real high fee? Finish with this one. Zeus says Benzema has had seasons where he hasn't scored 20 plus goals at either Madrid or Lyon. His history is pretty much the same as Giroud over the years, and he's lazy, he says. And he said we should get Lacazette. What do you guys reckon? You shouldn't judge a player on one game. It's really, really unfair. Because you know what? Giroud had a nightmare last week. So you can't judge a guy off of one game. But should we still go and try and get Lacazette? let's say the Benzema deal fell through. We can't get Benzema. It's impossible. He wants to stay. Real Madrid said he's not for sale. We can't get him. Should we go and get Lacazette? Should Lacazette be the next option? Leave it in the comments below and let me know what you think. We're back at the Emirates Cup today, so looking forward to seeing you guys down there again. We'll be doing interviews again after the game. It was really great to be back interviewing fans yesterday. Fantastic to meet so many people down there yesterday who said that they watch Transfer Daily every day, and you know, they're appreciating it. Really, really appreciate that. It makes worth getting up early at the crack of dawn to do research, etc. Really, really worth it when I hear stuff like that. It's brilliant, and it's fantastic to meet so many Gooners down there yesterday. We'll be back down there today, as I said. Let's hope that Arsenal can beat Wolfsburg with Lord Bentner playing and lift another trophy, the Emirates Cup. Thanks for watching.